So yeah, this is Enterprise 1. I'm VanVelding. I do the beige and the bold.
And I'm Dr. Isix, and I do Watches of Tomorrow, and I'm thinking about Lemmings. Remember that game?
Lemmings.
Yeah.
Yes, I know Lemmings. I actually did play Lemmings. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Yeah, it's a great game. Anywho, so Star Trek.
Yeah.
So
Star Trek.
You got an itch for something today? You also mentioned last time we should there's the three-parter potentials, and there's multiple pitches we could poke at today. So you got anything that you want to be hitting up today?
No, it's been a heck of a week for me, but we did talk about a three-parter last time.
Yes,
where our crew, they look at a situation, they think they know what's happening, and once they talk with those people, they learn that the situation's more complicated than that, and one of them says, "Hey, we have to change how we do things." Mm-hmm. And they said they are going to run for office, and that doesn't necessarily need to be like a straight one after the other storyline. Like that, the running for office can be like an ongoing line.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that, if you wanted to break this up, having a couple sort of semi-unrelated episodes with maybe something related to that as the B or even C plot might be a good idea. Like okay, so you want to run to be the special representative. Well, here is the things you need to know, both as part of the job and also who you're running against and why this might be more difficult than you realize.
Yeah.
So I know we usually go for the A plot first, but I just want to sort of say that that's maybe something we should be touching upon if we're not going right into the next phase of that.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think we can do it now or we can do it later. In the pitches, I've got Pulp, which is about common people, good or bad. And we kind of did that with Starbase 47 early on. But I think it's an idea that's worth revisiting. The previous one was based on a pitch called Power Corrupts. Democracy's good, actually. And we kind of bent that into like a general Prime Directive episode. And then the one I have after that is called Absolutely, where it is about... it's about Section 31. And it just said, I hate Section 31. I think it has a bunch of cynical assumptions where it goes, our heroes have to work in this complicated universe and navigate this diplomacy, and they fail, and it's not hard. It's not easy, but it's worth doing. The good thing is hard, but worth doing. And then Section 31 rolls up and goes, we're evil, so everything's easy. We're always competent. We never fuck up. And my perfect Section 31 series is basically a history of the CIA, but people wear Star Trek uniforms sometimes.
All right, here's where everything that was awful. Here's the things that's only kind of shady, and that's it.
Yeah, like, isn't it so cool how they overthrew liberal elected democracies in order to further corporate ends of their larger nation? Ooh, how edgy. Edgy guys.
Yeah.
So, look at them get all these Cubans killed. Sorry.
But yeah, Section 31, I think it's best used when it's in direct, in obvious opposition to the main characters, which is, I guess, kind of why I didn't, mind it so much in late DS9 there, because it's like, yeah, these guys are assholes, and we're going to need to manipulate them, and in order to actually do the right thing, because they're not doing the right thing.
Yeah. In that, the episode, we finally turned the tables in Section 31. I loved it. So, I would like to kick back against the idea that, oh, look, they're secret spies. Oh, look, they're cool. They're fallible people. The ability to do anything for your end goals is not a strength, actually. It is always short-sighted. And, it's nice to, maybe push people around for ends you believe are justified. But that is not how real progress is made on these things. So I like kind of a Section 31 episode where we initially liked Section 31, where they give us the Section 31 we've seen, that's all cool and stuff, and then we go to, this is the reality, they suck.
Yes. So how you sort of laid out the pitch there is that this is sort of like a holodeck test recruiting sort of situation here. Now, was this to be with the simulated versions of the crew, or the crew is sort of doing that one thing like they did with Bashir that one time?
I think that there's a reason for people to be like, hey, we have a problem. What's a way to solve it? And they're like, well, what if we use like this holographic problem solving thing? So there's a real problem and therefore real stakes. And there's a real reason for people to individually go into the holodeck to solve it. But the end result is, see, if someone offers you a chance to do the wrong thing in a simulation, you're just going to think it's a test though. So that doesn't work.
Well, I guess there is maybe some attempts to maybe directly exploit various characters' weaknesses then. It's like, this is what if you could do this one wrong thing in this case, then the next thing is a little bit easier to do if it's very similar, and so on and so forth, and sort of push them to sort of, expand your horizons of villainy here, one step at a time, little drops, little leading on here. And so, each sort of scenario for each officer could be sort of geared in that sort of fashion. Exploit the weaknesses of people until you get, them to where you want them to be. And this might be more effective for some characters and less effective for others. And, could even have a situation where one of them is completely, realizing what's going on right away, and so plays along with it until, they get to this sort of a point where it's like, all right, I now have enough information about you guys. I can now, sort of strike back and say, screw you guys. I know you did this one thing this one time, and I'm going to get my revenge or something like that.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That includes the holodeck. So we're doing that. I don't want to do a holodeck breaks episode, but what if?
Well, it could be quote broken, but is all part of the scheme.
It would be interesting if we start with stealing from Voyager, which I don't do a lot. They had the luau program in Voyager where the crew would go as a whole to relax.
Mm-hmm.
So what if they're
after the bar, but before Fairhaven? Yes.
Did they all end up in Fairhaven? Did they end up all hanging out in Fairhaven in Voyager? I didn't see the end of Voyager.
Yeah, they had a couple episodes in Fairhaven. One of them was a Holodeck Breaks episode.
I see. I think I may have seen that one. Okay. All right.
Well, technically, both of them had some of that. But anyway.
Okay. And then we kind of get where it's like, oh, look, it's anomalous programming. This mysterious character seems to know things about ourselves in the outside world that no holodeck character would know.
Mm-hmm. It's like, so is this like an alien infiltration of our systems? Or is there something else going on? Is this a sentient AI?
Yeah. And in reality, it might just be like a Section 31 writer program. Or like some kind of training program. Or just it's an indoctrination program. So... Does that work? Does that dovetail?
I think that works. Could even have there be sort of the core program there, as well as sort of as sort of in the background of the program. There's also occasionally someone just kind of walking in the background, but that's the person who's actually like keyed into the system and sort of paying, the real meat person is paying attention to things, but it's supposed to be played off as an innocuous nobody.
Okay, all right.
That way we can have the reveal. It's like, oh, it was just a snooper program that was trying to indoctrinate us, and then elsewhere, as they shutting down the holodeck, somebody takes off their helmet, and it's that one guy.
It's from the holodeck.
And so now we have somebody to pop up later that we can smack around.
Okay, it'd probably be a member of the crew, right?
Oh, potentially.
Right.
But who amongst the crew then would be the Section 31 connected person?
As you know, I have a long-running theory since 2014 or so about Dr. McCoy being a spy.
Ah, yes.
So that would usually be my chief guy to go to. We've done Julian Bashir's secrets before. We talk about his secret stuff. We have secrets for Harry Kim.
Yep.
Lieutenant Rand could do it. Esri Dax being member Section 31 was hilarious.
I was going to say, got 2 Daxes. Maybe that's why in our weird continuity that this has happened. That one of them's Section 31 and was like pulled from somewhere else, and that's how it explains in universe.
I maintain I don't think we need an explanation, but okay, yes.
Well, we don't have to explain it. Just like, wait, the other version of me is the evil one? Huh. Thought my evil twin would look a little bit more like me.
Okay, maybe one of the Daxes. Ro Laren was kind of involved in espionage-type activities when we first saw her.
I was thinking that she might be better to be one of the people that's sort of pulled into the program to be manipulated too.
Okay, can see that. I would take Tasha Yar off that immediately.
Yeah,
obviously not Jean-Luc Picard. Troy would be an interesting choice. She's done some espionage stuff before.
Yes, sometimes kind of randomly against her wills and. Could always do something like Sulu or something like that.
Yeah, we could do Sulu. I mean, again, Sulu and Chekhov aren't that well fleshed out, so they could always use a little more. I have a theory about Chekhov I've been hammering on that I haven't been able to get to work out, that he's actually part of the temporal Cold War. And that's why so many of the things they see on the original series don't exist anymore. Right? Like, we just don't talk about them anymore. And they find a lot of old civilizations in there that died for different reasons. And it's like, well, maybe those civilizations are what they saw when you lose a time war. And that's why Khan remembers him in Star Trek too. There are more reasonable explanations for this. But Khan, we don't see Chekhov in season 1. He could be on the ship, but Khan remembers him in Wrath of Khan. It's like, well, that's time travel, buddy.
Yeah. All right. So Chekhov is the temporal agent, and then Sulu is the Section 31 guy. And they don't know that the other one has this affiliation, and maybe there's like this rivalry between those two forces that, we can have play out at some point later down the line.
Maybe the Chekhov. There's no smoking gun for the Chekhov thing the way there is for Leonard McCoy. The more you pull that Leonard McCoy thread, the more sweater comes off. It's bizarre how well it fits.
Well, I think McCoy is actually a great choice, though. But my second choice would be Sulu.
Have we done a McCoy story?
Don't think so. He's kind of shown up as a side character a few times, but
I don't think we've done a Sulu Sulu story either. McCoy has so many hooks: being an alcoholic, being divorced, the racism. There's a lot to work with McCoy. I think we should just give this one to Sulu.
McCoy is also a great red herring for this sort of thing too. It's like maybe we have to figure out who put the program in the computer. Well, who else? McCoy's the only one that kind of fits the profile.
Yeah, I kind of see that. There was that bit with those vaccines on that planet where everybody died.
Whoops.
Just saying. So yeah, I like that. Navigation engineering. Hikaru Sulu, chief pilot guy. Riker's boss. B'Elanna Torres' boss. That's interesting. Probably senior to... Not technically senior to Geordi, but he's got some experience over Geordi.
He was being a junior chief there. Means he's kind of in a position of power, but not too much power. So has access, but isn't necessarily as responsible as the officers.
Esri Dax, Nog, Chekhov. Those are all greenhorns. Dr. Crusher, fairly moral character. Worf Rajinko. Oh, man. Sorry. I could just imagine Worf and Sulu heading off. That'd be an interesting punch-up. Okay. Sulu has...
Yeah, I think Worf might be a good target for the manipulation, but he might also be a good one to sort of catch on to what's going on. It's like, this is dishonorable, but I'm going to play along with it to see if I can, figure out what's, who's behind this or something like that.
Worf is a good guy. He's honorable. He is a science nerd, believe it or not. They forget that later in Worf's characterization.
Yes.
But boy, in terms of being politically aware, I don't know about that.
True. He's kind of caught off guard by a lot of the small scale nuances of politics. So yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I guess then he could always be the inverse. One of the ones that catches on is like, no, this program's trying to manipulate me. I'm going to just kind of resist it, and it's not going to get anywhere with me. And so, but he's going to be really kind of brutal about it. And then, like, someone could look over his shoulder and it's like, Worf, why did you stab that guy? He's a hologram. It doesn't matter.
Well,
plus it felt good.
He is like a Cleon Duke or something. Like, there is this political angle of Worf's existence that I think was always handled unevenly in TNG.
It's like, what is a great house of the Klingon Empire? I don't really know.
And it's like Worf leads this great house, but he is not good at the admin of it. Like, Kern does all the work, and then Worf just makes all the bad decisions. It's like a really bad setup.
Yes. Poor Kern.
Gosh, I just, like, you respect all the decisions Worf makes, but then you're like, yeah, those are heinous consequences for the people who rely on him as part of the great house. We've talked about it enough. Let's sink that cost. Let's rope Worf in here.
Okay, so
we did not too long ago a character with the senior thing with the senior staff, which would be great. I would love to watch like a vignette of corruption with our senior staff, and each one of them like falls in or resists or interacts with it in a different way. The notes for my pitch have Cisco, where he's like, yeah, maybe, but you're offering me nothing right now, and he walks away. So that's real tempting.
I do have another thing we could maybe lift from Voyager if we don't want this to be quite explicitly a broken holodeck sort of vibe, at least for the first half. That this is a holo novel. It's like, yeah, I stumbled across this, and it's like, partially incomplete, but it has some interesting stuff going on, and it seems to really weirdly tailor to whoever you are, because you get to play yourself.
Okay, kind of haunted book. That I was trying to pull something from pop culture, and I missed it, whatever it was. So okay,
it's the never-ending story. Say my name, Bastion.
Okay. It could be like a choose your own adventure story.
Well, isn't that what a holo novel really is anyway?
There was a Silent Hill not too long ago that allegedly, as you did things in game, it would create a psychological profile, and it would make it scarier for you.
That would be kind of cool.
So what if that's a genre of holo novel, but you don't know like what's in it, right? It's a mystery holo novel, deeply interactive, psychologically reactive. You never know what's going to happen. Otherwise, you'd hedge or something, right? If you're going to play the Silent Hill game, like, oh, I'm really scared of skeletons. So like you act like you're scared of butterflies or whatever. So it's like this thing, and it contributes to the modern culture, right?
Yes.
We're like, there's contemporary culture of Star Trek, and one of the contemporary culture things is these mystery box holo novels. Except this one's Trojan horsing Section 31 recruitment stuff, right?
Exactly. So okay. It's like the new thing that's hitting, the new craze that's been spreading to a number of ships, and so on the other ship there said it was great. You should really check it out, man. Yeah, and suddenly the first few people take it, and then soon everybody's playing it.
Yeah, which is echoes of TNG's The Game, but we're being a little.
But it's not quite so addictive. It's just sort of like, all right, everyone's kind of checking it out, and some of them kind of get tired of it and quit it right away, but others go all the way.
I was just thinking how fast I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I was almost immediately turned off by their blasé contempt for regular people and their ability to do whatever they wanted to with no consequences.
And they are a little detached from anything real-ish most of the time there.
Yeah, it's like civil rights. Forget your civil rights. We're S.H.I.E.L.D. And I'm like, I'm done real quick. Coulson's great, but this isn't for me. So I could definitely see someone going in there, doing like one act and going, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. I don't, this is not my vibe here. Sorry.
Yeah, so we can watch different members of the crew. Maybe just do security guys, or maybe do Zeta Shift guys.
I've not done much with them.
Or just a random collection of folks as they kind of play it. Yeah.
Well, we at least want the senior staff sort of combined sort of scene there where it's sort of jumping from their different experiences and when they sort of either say yes or no to important questions. So we can sort of get
I can see that.
Yeah, but focusing it on a specific shift or group of folks would probably be wise. Otherwise, maybe a combination of Zeta and Alpha shift.
So, it's an Alpha shift. Odo, Paris, McCoy, Dax, Chakotay, Cisco. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, if the theme is kind of like power corrupts, absolutely. So the deal is maybe you are like a spy. It is like our man Bashir, maybe. Mm-hmm. Like that's the skin of it. And so the deal is like you kind of get into it and you're a spy and you're not accountable for these things. And then the pitch is like maybe, you are special and therefore you can do this wrong thing and it's just a video game. Isn't that fine?
Yes.
So to cast back again, The Prisoner is a show that I love.
I need to finish watching that. I'm like halfway through.
Oh, yeah, I was going to spoil it.
Well, I do know a little bit of the how it kind of ends because I got that spoiled ages ago. But yeah.
The spoiled ending is not satisfying to me personally, and I don't consider that a spoiler. What is the best episode of the series, to my mind, is the penultimate episode, which is, if you listen to The Beige and the Bold, you're going to hear me say this a lot, just two guys in a stage, and it's great. It's amazing television. So one of the questions the series asks is, if you do something special, allegedly on behalf of society, how far above that society should you be? Right? You're in a shootout with communists or terrorists or whatever the threat of the era is, and you miss and you shoot somebody that's innocent. Should you go to jail? Now, I think yes, you should be accountable, yes. Especially if you make a mistake. You should be accountable for that. But then somebody comes in and they go, you've done so much for this country. You are obviously trying your best. These things happen. There's no reason to ruin your life over this small mistake. And therefore, you become a bad person, right? Whenever you say yes to that deal. That seemed like a place to start with that paradigm?
I think so.
Okay.
And so we sort of so I guess we have to sort of have a few early steps in this program. So there's going to be an intro sort of sequence where you have accepted this role in this particular thing, and we are going to simulate your own vessel and put you in the role of your own shoes, and and you will need to find the secret spy or something like that on the ship, and save everybody's life or something like that. And the crazy answer is that there is no actual spy in the simulation, but you're still expected to kill somebody at some point.
I've read this in a Star Trek novel. It was in Kobayashi Maru. Chekhov blew up his own ship in the Kobayashi Maru, which was the wrong answer. But right after that, he does an exercise like this where everybody's put on an abandoned station. There's allegedly a killer among them, and your goal is to survive. And Chekhov just booby traps everything, accidentally kills his friend. I think he's the last person to survive. But he fails the test, because the test is how Kirk answered the test, because young Chekhov idolized Kirk. And the answer is what the instructor tells him what Kirk did, which is he established teams, he made a secure area, and he just controlled the perimeter. Mm-hmm. And because nobody was actually trying to kill anybody else, nobody died. It was fine. That's the way to beat the mission, yeah.
It's like, be careful, and just make sure there's at least two people on watch at any time, and you're good to go.
I kind of like that. I think if we're selling people on the remove of Section 31, within the fiction, I think there still needs to be that remove, right? Where it's like you're a secret agent for the government or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, it's could even be a specific sort of detachment, or like there has been throughout history discussion about a temple Cold War that happened sometime in the future. Well, you are one of the agents, so it's sort of like, all right, so you are very, very special in the context of this world here, and so you are sort of being primed to be able to sort of start ignoring the rules however you like and whenever you like, because you are very much, being explicitly detached from the existence that you are aware of.
Yeah, I like that. My only competing idea would be if you're trying to hunt down a shapeshifter, but that seems a little racist against Odo. Like Odo goes in and he's like, is this how you see us? Yeah. So your temporal Cold War idea works.
Well, it could also be, in some variances of the situation, the idea of who the bad guy is supposed to be starts leading to it being, a shapeshifter of some sort, and all based on the psychology of how people are reacting to the program, and so you can find out who doesn't like Odo. So who do you end up shooting? You. Sorry about that.
I like the temporal Cold War thing, and I would put one of those the people who did the temporal Cold War, the guy
with the horrible outfit. Suliban?
Yes, obviously not all Suliban, but some Suliban were part of the temporal Cold War. Yeah, the Cabal. So like those guys, like they could be the thing, and like they've got the genetic thing, so they can have whatever. They've got all these genetic gifts.
Who the bad person is could be anyone on the crew. Dun dun dun.
Yeah, and if anything, you're doing that whole. Sorry, I should go. Hey, Commander Riker, you want to do this simulation? We have to hunt down Suliban, just like Archer did. He's like, yeah, I don't feel like doing that. I'm having a great night. It feels like it would ruin the ending of my night if it was just all about me and the holodeck doing Archer things. Commander Riker. So anyway, maybe you can always be
a chef instead. Come on.
Mysteriously worse, but yeah. All right. But enough cheek knocks. So the deal is that a set of characters sequentially go into this mystery box holodeck episode. Their roles that they're a member of the Time Police, or they're a member of Earth from the future, temporal Cold War, have to hunt down a Suliban, and inevitably they make a mistake. It's just set that way. And when they do, the Section 31 stand-in, maybe Sulu in IRL, maybe like a hollow Sulu, I don't know, pops up, or maybe it's just in the background. I don't know.
Well, I was thinking more of the Sulu Watcher being in the background sort of thing. Though, if interacted with, he'll, interact like Sulu would be kind of expected to in that sort of situation, whatever it is. We could have the red herring be that the fake, temple agent is actually McCoy in the simulation, except for when McCoy's playing, and then it ends up being something really absurd, like like Wesley or something like that.
Yeah. I like that. That's all great. And then characters react to that in different ways, and we get further into the program each time, which means that at some point someone's going to seem like they're totally bought into it.
Yes.
Right?
So,
and then
So who is most likely to be in that sort of position and be able to pull it off well?
I would say someone who can turn it around and be like, nah, I figured you were bad from the start. I'm not going to do your bad stuff anymore. I'm going to take your whole thing down. I mean, that to me would be like a satisfying conclusion.
Indeed.
And they give us our Picard speech about why unaccountable covert agencies are a bad idea. And then we have our denouement.
Well, so Cisco could be a good option for there, though he has his own morally gray situations there. Chakotay might be an interesting choice there. It's like, I'm there's a reason that I'm a crewman and not anything higher than that. It's because I kind of chafe at this sort of, overreaching, do everything for the peace, even if it means doing something horrible sort of bullshit.
Okay, that's a good thing to give him. I'll be honest, I always assumed Chakotay threw in with the Maquis simply because he was from there.
In part.
It was like a home team type of thing.
But we can. But there's also sort of a certain level of, he was sort of going into the Starfleet, doing all the Starfleet stuff, and then had the Starfleet indoctrination and then looked over there and it's like, this is actually wrong. I'm going to go and do the right thing over here, sort of stuff.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, he had the personal connection, but also it's there's still a choice that had to be made there.
Okay. All right. But he's still part of Starfleet.
Yes.
I guess provisionally because he did some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so
he's someone who may not be with Starfleet.
I think another interesting character to have at least go pretty far into it might be like Kes.
Go on.
So she, she's kind of naive at some points, very smart at other points, and if you can very much play those sort of different sides of her well in a situation like this, where she goes into the situation, someone has already primed her. It's like, oh, it's just all a video game. What happens in there doesn't really matter. So just have fun with the fiction of it. And so she goes all in on the fiction, not realizing, that she's supposed to be being, indoctrinated here, until she kind of realizes at some point, I'm starting to just kind of feel bad about all the stuff that I'm doing in this simulation. I'm not having fun. In fact, I'm curious and I'm enjoying the mystery of that, but it just makes me feel uncomfortable. And so and so she's either, one of the last people that's, turns it off at the end.
Yeah. I can kind of see that. Like, we don't get a lot of characterization out of Kes because her character's weird. Like, not like her character's personality is weird.
Very
like,
unusual
has the whole
character.
thing where she's like fully adult, but she's like has the outlook and experience of like a 2-year-old or whatever. She's going to live to be 7.
Yes.
And it feels like the born sexy yesterday trope, which I'm kind of about.
It's a little weird, and it's also creepy that she was dating Neelix before she was 1 year old.
She's romantically connected with like 3 people. Didn't the Doctor have like feelings for her at some point?
Yeah, there's a little bit of crushing going back there.
Yeah.
They were also working together a lot, and
So I'd definitely like to give Kes some characterization beyond that.
So this might be a good opportunity then. But when she wants to be like serious and I'm going to wreck your shit, she can do that. So
it would be,
heck, maybe she maybe the solution to shutting down the program and undoing it actually is for Jacody. It's okay. I need to manipulate the program to such a way that it's going to let let me have the full access of the stuff, whatever, but it's still going to protect itself. So I need someone who's kind of a ringer that can kind of override the technology of the holodeck without actually interacting with it directly. And so if he can sort of get Kes pissed off enough, suddenly she mind quakes and suddenly the holodeck resets or something like that.
Maybe not far. I like it when characters are characters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it whenever they're superpowers. So Kes suddenly developing like mega telepathy was never anything interesting to me. I would very much like to say, look, here's Kes. Here's a character you don't think much of because she's open about things. She admittedly doesn't have a lot of experience. I have many questions about Okampa culture. And like how quickly do you have to teach people Microsoft Excel when they're going to die in 3 years? That's all I'm saying. It just seems like it'd be very hard to unless they were very rapid learners, is what I'm saying.
Well, you know they do demonstrate that a fair bit in Voyager. It's like, yeah, I have read everything that you've given me, Doctor, and now I am an expert in microbiology. Well, that was fast.
Okay.
I gave you that pad this morning.
Does that really happen?
Well, it's maybe not to that extreme, but it's very much, there's several things where she's like, yeah, I'm just going through it all, and she, the doc quizzes her about it afterward, and she's like getting everything correct. So it's like, all right. You might still need some practice on the practical side of things, but as far as the base knowledge stuff here, you're basically an instant learner sort of person here.
Yeah, and that would make a ton of sense for the Okampa if they could learn 10 or 15 times faster than humans can.
Yeah,
that would be great, and it would be so great because you could initially read that as in Dark Place, they have these great moments where someone picks up a phone, goes, okay, and then delivers like 30 seconds of exposition that they could not have gotten over the phone. But it would be great if Kes can like look at things and scroll up and then put something down and go, okay, so here's the deal. And then she can exposit for 30 seconds on that because that's a thing she can do.
Yes.
I know I just said the thing about superpowers, but like this is more, I think, world building and part of how she interacts.
This is something that Data could do as well. So it's not a unique superpower.
So the deal is that we look at Kes, who looks like a young woman, who is technically a senior tech, who has maybe been in Starfleet for 3 years, and we think, what a young ingenue. She's over promoted because they want her to have equal service because she's going to die, in 3 years. But what if like we put her into the simulation? She's like, oh, it's cool, it's a video game, And what if she's the one who turns around, outwits Section 31, and like shuts the whole thing down and gives us our Picard speech?
Oh, I think that'd be glorious.
Because we wouldn't expect, because everybody else is kind of like falling for it and they're doing like little mistakes. Then they're like, yeah, this is fine. Or, some of them are uncomfortable and they quit. But she actually engages with it, gets into it, maybe even does some messed up stuff for the greater goal of saying, I thought this was a game about finding evil bastards using temporal mechanics to do evil bastard things. And the goal is to shut them down.
And so that's what I was trying to do. I realized quickly that there's something wrong about this whole situation from the very start. And so so she played the meta game from the very beginning, going all in to keep the Watcher off balance there.
Well, I
like
mean,
that.
We could go that route where she actually sees beyond the veil. I'm saying where her level of integrity is such that she believes that the game was about that. There was never, this is deceptive or whatever. And she just says, it's bad, so I stopped it. I think they're both good. I just want to make sure you understood what I was trying to put out there.
I think I'm getting your vibe here, yeah.
So I mean, in the first one, no harm, no foul. We close up on Sulu, ominous thing, leave. The next, the one you have is one where we're left with questions, I think, which is good. We go, hey, someone tailored this to us personally, Starfleet officers. That's the point of the mystery box genre, though. But it has to go a little further, doesn't it? It has to go a little further. Section 31 has to go a little further than just putting their message in the video game. There has to be something that tips them off that it's more serious than that.
Could always be like someone like in the simulation, someone one of the holographic characters mentions to someone who's playing a deep dark secret they've never told anyone, but they actually have told this person in reality, and this is the only person who should know this. So that's like, something's breaking into people's personal logs here. And so this is maybe a bit more than just a reacting to people's psychology sort of a simulation.
What if Firefly movie where the bad guy has like his judo move that freezes people, but because Malcolm has like an old war wound, he's immune to it, right? The scars that make him that are part of the hardships he's endured make him unique enough that the one-size-fits-all society of whatever the crap doesn't affect him the same way. It's a fine message, efficiently delivered. I never watched the series, but I enjoyed the heck out of that movie.
I've seen like half the series, but yeah, still good stuff.
Okay, so what if our Section 31 hiccup, circling back to our Bay of Pigs thing, is the fact that they just overplayed their hand? They were screwed. They screwed up something because they thought, whatever. Like they thought everything would go to their little like clockwork plan, but it didn't, and that's where it screwed up. So like maybe it isn't like they're transgressing the personal logs, but they think they can get away with it.
It's like you want the simulation to be as perfect as possible, so you do your research on everybody, and so you break into people's personal logs, you include classified data that shouldn't be accessed by the holodeck, you could even have some really weird interactions where it's like I've had this same conversation with this person before, and I was feeling like I was just having this deja vu thing. But the thing is, we weren't on the ship at the time. We weren't anywhere this could be, detected unless somebody was watching us.
Maybe Starbase 47. And so it's like, hey, it pulls ship's logs. And then it's like, hey, this also has the Starbase logs. That's not right.
Yeah. Something, it's like, so the ship's log is like, okay, maybe it's just more invasive than we thought. But then it's like, oh, it also has this information? That's not good, because that means it's collecting this information as it goes along. And so they think at first, oh, this is like a program that just sniffs out data and slowly compiles it, and maybe is trying to deliver it to somebody down the line. But it's actually was included from the very beginning.
Like, their records are supposed to be on the Enterprise, but they're not on the Enterprise for some reason.
Yes. Or we had, Nog kind of join this version of the Enterprise a little on the late side. So maybe his, profile logs were mostly from his previous ship adventures.
Yeah. Where they actually do have Nog's records, but they're not supposed to.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
you don't even have to necessarily have the actual Nog be the person who's being the interacting here, but someone who's interacting with holographic Nog, and it's like, wait a moment, and then they go and ask Nog about something later. It's like, you mentioned this one story in your thingamajig, but when did that happen? It happened on this star date, and I was like, why did I never hear about this? Like, well, it was on my previous ship. The one that was destroyed or whatever. And so,
yeah,
really, no one should be, have access to that unless, it's somebody who's gone through the black box or something like that. Just, real, like, someone had to go digging in order to get this information.
Yeah. And that shouldn't be available in the Enterprise at all.
Exactly.
So, okay. All right. So, I feel like we're running late, but let's, so who's going to go into the simulation? We got Kess.
Got Kess. Yes, said also Chakotay might be an interesting option. Sisko would be an interesting option. You also need at least some number of them who basically nope out right away. So that's where you get your Crusher, your Worf, your Spock sort of situations there.
I don't want to, like, we've done some work with Crusher. We've done nothing with Natasha Yar.
All right, so let's go with Natasha. Yeah, she come up a little bit, but was never a main focus there.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking with Captain Picard, just... they have the whole, like, the smash cut when someone does something of, like, each stage of the consequences. Mm-hmm. Like, you shoot someone, smash cut to the court, smash cut to jail, and it's, like, done. And all I can see is just the Picard actually shooting a guy, and the Section 31 guy's like, the corruptor character's like, well, Jean-Luc, you don't have to go to jail for this. And then it just cuts to the trial and cuts to Picard in jail. So, Kess, Chakotay, Sisko, Natasha Yar... She nopes out. Chakotay does a little bit.
Yes.
Sisko plays along and then leaves.
Plays along and then gets bored, maybe. It's like, no, this just seems
maybe
like,
I gets bored.
Like propaganda bullshit here. I'm out.
Yeah. It should be a little subtler than that. There must be some point at which it's the greater good. And Sisko says, maybe in real life, maybe not in a video game.
Maybe, Sisko wants to be the better him in the video game.
I think it's pretty well established parts of his character that he will do anything to save the Federation.
Yes.
So I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm just saying, like, we can't just be like, Sisko plus. We don't like that about Sisko. Let's get rid of it. I'm tempted to do that. I really want to do that. But if he says, hey, look, I take it seriously. You know what? I will blow up a Romulan senator. Spoilers, that was Ben Sisko. It was a plot. Please see my webpage at infostarwars.com. And Renak's shuttle was an inside job. And so, like, he's like, okay, I will do these bad things, but I'm not going to do them lightly. I'm not going to do them frivolously. I'm not going to do them in a video game because they're bad things to do, and we should do them when they're necessary, but it's not fun.
And this should not be entertainment. Yes. I think that'd be a sort of a great character building moment for him.
And so Chakotay's issue is just like, nah, son. Is he just like, he just nopes at the question?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. And Natasha Yar kind of nopes at the scenario. And so Kess seems to be dragged completely. Yeah?
Yeah. So Yar is like, okay, this is an interesting setup, but this really isn't me. It just seems like you just set up a whole bunch of excuses to be an asshole to people.
Yes.
If I really wanted to get in a fist fight with Geordi, I'd just make my own program with Geordi to punch in the face. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So and then finally we get Kes, and Kes appears to have wholly not had these moral reservations.
Yes.
Until the very end, where she's either seen that it's fake. Is that what we're going to go with?
Could always leave it a little ambiguous, but I think trusting her to be smart cookie might be the better option here. If we're going to make a solid choice.
Because the deal is that we're going to have the Nog clue, so someone needs to get that clue and talk with us about it. Now it could be that Cass finishes it, and maybe we're doing interviews with characters like after they're done with it. Like interview format, and they kind of give like their inner thoughts on it.
Perhaps. Maybe we could even have that be part of the programs, like at the intro sections, like if you you can leave the program anytime, but we do ask you to have an exit interview so we can refine the program for the next user.
What if? Well, I mean, they're not going to be frank if they don't trust the program, right?
Yes.
So what if they're chilling out in the rec hall or in Tinford or wherever, and Kes walks out after smoking the corruptor, and she hears like Cisco, Chakotay, and Yar talking about it, and she's like, "Hey, are you guys talking about that video game?" And they sit down and they talk it out, and they're like, "Yeah, there's something really wrong with that video game. Like, there's no way they could have known that about Nog." And maybe there's some other clues as well, and they're like, "Yeah, like there's a lot more to that than there should be." And they kind of report it. I mean, I feel like there's not a lot of explanation for that. Instead of ending our episode on a resolution, we end it on a mystery. So do we want to do a two-parter?
We could do a two-parter. Do you want to break out the two-parters at this stage?
I mean, I think we've got a whole episode here.
Yes. Where it's basically everyone getting sort of really invested in this to various levels here, and sort of laying out the fictional scenario, which sort of has a magic meeting room sort of situation. There's emergency with the warp core that somebody has you as the main character needs to help out, but also someone inevitably gets killed there, and so for certain it's not going to be this person because they're dead now, unless they're still alive. Dun dun dun. You can have some various levels of twists there, and the actual scenario can get ridiculous at some point, but that's perfectly fine, just as long as it's all about making sure that the moral choices that the players making get more and more push that their limits there, and so you could very much have it where it's like, yes, Kes just figured out that it's like I decided to go all the way to the end, and it turned out that like half the crew was actually in on it, and so I had to go through and put everyone into this mind probe device that if they were one of the bad guys, it would give a green light. If they were one of the good guys, it would just kill them. And everyone's like, what?
yeah, we can definitely like have paths unseen covered by other crew members as they talk about it. It's kind of cool because I think it's fair for us to do the holodeck opening. I think it's traditional, if nothing else. We're like, what's this adventure? What are they doing? What's going on? And then like the scenario's done, and we just leave on someone else. And then we kind of go into the episode, and it's kind of about the game. And our stakes aren't that real, but our stakes suddenly become moral stakes, and that's how we're invested in it. Yes. So probably Chakotay would be our first one, and then Natasha Yar maybe second. Cisco does 3. No, Cisco should be second. And then Yar just nopes out after we kind of understand it's sort of menacing. It'd be great if this was like a commentary on fiction, which we can't do. If like someone's hovering their hand over the button of committing to evil, and it's playing like the music in the background, they're like, computer, change music, and it's just like do 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 do.
No, computer, the other music.
The holodeck as a vehicle for commentary on media is great, but I think I had a pretty good one here. No B plot, unless you wanted to stick with the B plot of the running for election and things.
The B plot could just sort of be a if we need to sort of fill in time, and could even maybe be a little bit of a fake out in that one of these meetings where Rand is like meeting up with Riker to talk about some random thing, but it turns out this is actually a scene from the holodeck program where this Rand playing it for a few minutes and trying to suss out if Riker's the evil guy.
Yeah.
And so you can sort of just have a couple scenes like that where Rand's sort of going around asking people for advice on this stuff, and just one of them just happens to be a fiction entirely.
So cliffhanger then? I mean, unless we can think of a really good resolution here.
So should we have the cliffhanger be with Sulu taking off the helmet or something else?
It's oh, okay, all right. So Kes joins the conversation with Chakotay and Cisco and Yar. And they all come to the conclusion there's something wrong there. And it's like, oh, but whatever clue couldn't have happened unless there was actually someone on the ship. And then we cut to someone else, maybe Spock, and they're in the simulation. And in the background, we see Sulu.
There we go.
He's like looking up, and it's like, da-da-da. And now we have two, now we have two secretly evil Asian characters in the show. I don't like that. I just wanted to give Sulu character. I didn't want to be racist.
Damn it. What if if it's someone that's using the avatar of Sulu, but it's not actually Sulu?
I feel like we're still playing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
We talked about Chekhov being a runner-up, didn't we?
Yes. But then it's sneaky Russian.
I can live with that. I can live with that. So you just wanted to go full Dr. McCoy, but Dax.
Maybe we leave this decision for the next episode.
Okay.
So
we end on the cliffhanger. We're intrigued.
So someone's in the simulation, but it's just like you don't see the person's face, but it's something that sort of suggests that this is the real person, whoever they are. Who is just happens to be watching Spock, from behind, and goes and sort of nervously walks away as they sort of realize that Spock's maybe not going to be a good candidate.
Okay, so we're over time. I will pitch to you moral peril.
Moral peril.
Mortal peril.
Moral peril. I like that actually. Okay.
All right. I think it's a bit on the nose. Maybe it gives us away, but we got to ship this episode. I think.
Yes.
Are we good?
So is this Moral Peril Part 1?
It's just like Star Trek does Moral Peril, and then they'll do Moral Peril Part 2.
All right.
I think we've established that
okay,
pattern.
Cool.
So, all right. So that's it. We'll see you next time.
Yes. Wee.